This is Dylan, aka Alpha of the Alpha and Omega YouTube channel. After a long period of absence that no one really seemed to care about, I thought it would be time to jump back in again about another video. This one is going to be about a game that's been roving through the airwaves, and one that I've put pretty much 3 months into it. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but I played this game like almost daily. I put hours and hours and hours into it until the love I had for the game had been slowly replaced by the distaste and the hatred of this game. The game I'm referring to is the love child between Bungie and Activision, Destiny. First off, this is not a review. This is going to be something different. This is going to be a flat-out, balls-to-the-wall, calling out the bullcrap rant. Normally in a review, I would talk about what I love and hate about the game and whether I recommend it or don't recommend it. But no, this is going to be a rant. So if you love this game and you're willing to fight for it with your lives, then please don't watch this. I'm not going to be nice about this game at all. But if you feel like you want to share your opinion with me about this game, go right ahead. Just know that I'm going to share mine in a brutal fashion. You probably will too, but again, that's what a discussion is. So anyway, for starters, let's talk about Destiny and my time with it. I played through the alpha and the beta stages of the game. I understand that the alpha stage has pretty much screwed out some Xbox users because it was PlayStation only, but the beta stage I felt really lucky, and I felt, kind of proud to be part of the Destiny community because I won a beta code giveaway from IGN, and I thought it was nice. I thought I felt lucky about it. I played through the alpha and the beta stages of the game, and I wasn't really too excited, but I thought the gameplay was okay. I still had very high expectations of the game, and because it was the alpha and the beta stage, I still had hope. But after putting 3 months into Destiny, I have a different opinion about it. The point of this video is to basically say that we're going to talk about what Destiny is, why it's got such a divide among the gaming community, and what it should be. So, to start off, what is Destiny? How exactly can you define a game like Destiny? Well, I usually go onto comment threads and online discussions about the game, and usually most people would say it's an MMO-light experience with FPS console controls. They say that if you want to get your full enjoyment out of the game, you have to have some MMO experience. Here's the thing. Bungie themselves, the developers of Destiny, said that Destiny is not an MMO, but a shared world shooter, whatever the heck that means. But wait, doesn't Destiny have a lot of MMO-like qualities? The daily story missions, the weekly strikes, the raids, the public events that happen every so often, a vendor that comes every Friday and leaves at a Sunday, online events like Iron Banner, those weekly mark caps, I mean, those seem like MMO-like qualities of the game. What most people fail to overlook is that Destiny is not exactly an MMO because it lacks the core quality of an MMO, the massive multiplayer. It's practically in the initials. MMO stands for Massive Multiplayer Online. When you go out into a world, which by the way, the worlds in the game are really pretty small compared to what's shown on the map. I mean, you're basically in a confined sandbox, which sucks. But anyway, when you go into a world of the game and you go to a certain section of the game, you will normally see maybe 3 to 5 people in the game, and that's not really a lot compared to different MMOs. The only feeling you'll get out of an MMO, the only feeling you'll get from the MMO experience is the tower, which is pretty much, you're going to get like maybe 15 to, 20, 23 people in the game. And that's technically not enough, because most MMOs usually have like 30 to 50 people in social hubs, and when you're out into the world, you're usually going to see like maybe, 10, 20 people. It's not very well designed. So because of that, Destiny is not exactly an MMO. If people want to consider it an MMO, then it's a bad MMO by design. However, that's not really the worst Destiny has. I know I started off on a bad point, but let's talk about what makes Destiny so good among some people. For one, it's the gameplay. oh my god, the gameplay. I mean, you feel really badass. Just you're like this super space soldier with several different powers. It's incredible. You have full auto rifles, 3-round burst rifles, one shot per trigger pull rifles, and your hand cannons, which is exactly what they sound like, as your main. You have your shotgun, sniper rifles, and fusion rifles as your secondaries. Fusion rifles are weapons that you charge up. And you have your rocket launchers and your machine guns as your heavies. Your character is divided into three different classes, and so you have to pick one. You can either be a hunter, a warlock, or a titan. Each class has 2 different subclasses. Warlock has a class where you can do damage from afar and manipulate your cooldowns, or become a bombardier support class. Titans can either dish out a lot of damage, or they can soak up damage by creating different shields. And hunters can either use range or traps, or use stealth from afar. Armor is class exclusive. A warlock cannot wear a hunter's torso, or a titan cannot put on some warlock boots. And each weapon and armor has different perks and mods that you can use to help further your playstyle. It's really fun messing around with the RPG elements of the game, because eventually, I say eventually, but I'll get to that later, you will eventually pick a class, a playstyle that you will like. You know, you might have a weapon where you get more range out of it every time you aim down the sights. You might find an armor piece where every time you hit someone, your grenade energy fills up faster, and it's amazing at how much variety you can have in creating your own character. The graphics of the game are incredible. Probably some of the best I've seen for the PlayStation 4 for the PlayStation 4 so far. Earth looks so amazing when you're walking through the wastelands on the moon. Phobos looks really, really beautiful as you're walking through the sandy ruins of Mars. And you will see like blue shining lava just like flowing down a volcano as you're walking through the colorful jungle regions of Venus. My sister put it best and say it's pretty much scene porn. I mean, it's a beautiful game. It's a beautiful looking game. And it's a beautiful sounding game too. The music of this game is incredibly epic. Some of the best music I've heard for the PlayStation 4. Sometimes I go back and listen to it. So, Destiny, when you look at it, when you look at its production values and when you look at the gameplay for the game, it looks really attractive, right? It looks like you just want to jump in and play. The problem is there's more to it than that. For one, there's no story. Everyone in the Destiny community agrees with this, that there's no story in the game, and if there is, it's poorly done and executed. So, to start, let me give you an example. Let's start with the intro of the game. Now, I'm going to tell this in the perspective of a first-time Destiny player, someone who hasn't even followed Destiny at all during the development stages of the game. So, I will try my best. There's a space capsule heading to Mars for some reason. Said space capsule lands on Mars, and 3 people with guns, which they have for some reason, come out and start walking through the sandy ruins of Mars, sandy deserts of Mars, for an undetermined amount of time for some reason. Eventually, they come across a giant city-sized jawbreaker that is somehow floating in the sky, and it makes Mars rain somehow. The city-sized jawbreaker, which people call the Traveler for some reason, decides to come to humanity and pretty much help with human progression and advancing to the stars for some reason, eventually starting a golden age. However, this golden age was soon interrupted, somehow, for some reason, by an entity humanity calls the Darkness. The Darkness then pretty much gets into an all-out war with humanity and the Traveler for some reason, and humanity is pretty much lost its golden age from there. Cut to the present, where some robot thing, which is called a ghost, they explain that in the game, looks through the scraps and piles of junk on Earth for some reason, looking for something. Eventually, it finds you, don't know why, and After a minor scuffle with the Fallen, whoever they are, you're finally sent. You finally reach the tower, which is a home base of these guys called the Guardians. The Guardians are basically the defenders of the Traveler, which is still alive. Maybe. You talk to the speaker, who is somehow the representative of the Traveler, and he tells you to go out and to stop the darkness and to bring the Traveler back to life. Take a minute to describe what I just said to you. Did you notice anything really wrong? Like, most of the time, I kept saying somehow or for some reason, placeholder words that doesn't really explain a lot in the intro. Well, that's because that's how Bungie wrote the story. I mean, there's a lot of places that need to be explained. There's a lot of things that need to be explained. And there's no way that you can possibly find this out. You can't talk to any of the characters in the game, despite, them being there are a bunch of NPCs in the game. Actually, no. Throughout the story, you have cutscenes with only, maybe 4 people, at the most. And they don't even have much to say about what's happening in the world of Destiny. And the other NPCs, they just pretty much ramble or talk to themselves. Really, who does that? They look cool, and they are, pretty much vendors to sell you neat crap. One of the huge, it's not, well, it is a big pet peeve for me, but one of a pet peeve for me is pretty much these NPCs. Some of them are voiced by some of the greatest actors I know. I mean, there's Lance Reddick, there's Claudia Black, and there's Nathan Fillion, and he's considered damn near an idol in the sci-fi genre. And all these guys are doing is pretty much talking to themselves, and they're rambling. Really? You're going to pay these guys a lot of money to just have your characters just sit down and talk to themselves? What's up with that? And the thing about the story is that no one really explains anything to you. In fact, 2 of the people there, the speaker and the stranger, God, that sounds so generic when I say that now, they sound like they have something to say, but they don't really tell you. A famous line quoted from the stranger, which is probably right behind from "That wizard came from the moon," which was a cut line from the alpha. Her line is basically, "I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain." That's almost Destiny in a nutshell right there. It doesn't have time to explain why it doesn't have time to explain its story. Just keep shooting stuff. Just keep blowing stuff up. This is all coming from Bungie. Bungie. The people who made the first 3 Halo games and delivered an incredible story behind each one of them. We get this now. This? It's just wow. What's even worse is that they try to tell you a story, but they do it in such a piss-poor way. You basically get to learn through the lore and the backstory of the game through these grimoire cards, which are so vague and are just so confusing to read. You're trying to figure out what you can use as a plot line, and then you're trying to pick apart the fluff in it. This is bad in 2 different ways. One, it breaks the immersion of the game because it means that you basically have to turn off the game, then you have to go to a website related to the game, and then you look up these grimoire cards and you read them. That's a total immersion breaker right there. I mean, I can just go and look it up somewhere else. I don't have to do it in Destiny. And 2, most of the grimoire cards are scattered throughout the world in ghost fragments, which have tiny pieces of the story that you can probably put together. I know, granted, that, just because it's vague, it can lead to a lot of interpretation, but the problem is, it's so vague. There's no real major accepted interpretation of the game. Bungie's trying to do a Dark Souls-esque way of telling the story, but they're doing it in such a bad way. Dark Souls did it So much more better than Destiny. You had NPCs to talk to. You had lore to read from different items in game, and you didn't have to learn any of that. You could just build the world if you wanted to or not. Like I already understood what I had to do in Dark Souls. I'm the cursed undead. I can either save the world from the curse for now, or I can just become the new Dark Lord of the world of Dark Souls. That's simple. That's simple right there. What are you doing in Destiny? You don't know. You're just shooting things, and you don't even know why you're shooting them. You just get objectives from the traveler saying, "Oh, you need to go and shoot this." That's pretty much the story of Destiny right there. That's like every mission. You go to a planet, then you go to a zone, you shoot certain numbers of enemies, you go to another zone, send the ghost to open up something and pay it proper tribute by killing X amount of enemies. That's what it seems like, by the way. And then eventually, some missions, you fight a boss that has like a buttload of health and is surrounded by a bunch of ads, and that's supposed to make the game hard. Really? That's not much of a story, guys. It's like trying to play through a Mass Effect game with only the codex to tell you, what you're supposed to understand about the world. I mean, can you imagine trying to understand why Morden feels guilty just by reading a codex page? Can you try to understand the Krogan rebellions just by reading a codex page and not talking to an old seasoned Turian vet or a Krogan warrior who has a recollection of the Krogan rebellions and the tragedies that they go through in the Genophage? Can you imagine just looking that up and trying to find a connection in that somehow? I honestly don't think I can. I mean, I would not be able to sympathize with any of my characters if I just looked up their bios. I want them to talk to me. I want to have a personal connection with them. But you see, that's what Destiny's trying to do with its story. It's trying to make you look this stuff up, read all this stuff so that you can try and connect with these people. And that just doesn't work. Another major complaint with Destiny is the RNG system. For those who don't know what RNG stands for, RNG means random number generator. That means that you're not going to get a predetermined reward every time you beat a mission or you finish an activity. You're going to get a different reward each time. I don't really have any complaints about it because it's RNG. I mean, you're going to get a different weapon each time, and that's how the system works. It works fine to me. I mean, yeah, there are going to be points where you will get pissed off at RNG not giving you the kind of weapon that you need, and when you do get that weapon that you need, you feel great and you feel blessed by RNGesus. And that's pretty much RNG. That's pretty much what RNG does in a nutshell. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. It works in the Crucible too, where you have to prove your skill, where you have to fight and prove your skills and be the winner in your team or in some match. I mean, sure, yeah, you worked your hardest, but sometimes you're not going to get the reward that you want. You're going to get something completely different, or you're going to get nothing at all. While the loser below you, or the guy who has low points in your team, suddenly gets like an exotic, an incredibly powerful weapon. I mean, yeah, that will piss you off, but if you think about it, that means that guy can now go ahead and hang out with his friends who have incredibly powerful weapons that they've gained through RNG. Now, granted, it's not that big of a deal. It wouldn't be unless the game had like something to keep it stable, like maybe a trading system. I know a lot of people argue that we need a trading system or we don't need a trading system. But right now, the only way you're ever going to get gear is pretty much through two ways. A, grind your butt off to get marks and commendations, which basically forces you to go through PvP and PvE content. Or B, just hope it falls on your lap through an engram, which is basically another random item that gives you like different weapons or armor. What's even worse about that is that the RNG pretty much does it to every item. You know how I said that eventually you will find the item that you want? Well, sometimes when you're a hunter and you get a legendary engram and it's a chest engram and you're like, "Oh, yes, finally. I can finally complete this." You go to the Cryptarch, what happens? Your chest engram becomes either a warlock chest piece, material, or another chest piece that you think is pretty bad. This pretty much means that you're going to have to grind your way through RNG and to basically find the armor that you need. What's even worse than that is that you need this armor to level up. Yeah, you heard me. You need to look for the appropriate armor to basically help you level up and to gain more prestige, or not more prestige, more power, so that you can go through different activities in the game. So basically, the only way that you're ever going to like max out your profit is to basically create all three different classes, grind them up to level 20, which is the ordinary cap, and then just keep grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding to get what you need. The thing is, there's not a lot of content to grind in. You're basically going to be doing either the same missions that you've already done or the same strikes that you've already done. You're going to be doing this forever, and it's going to take forever until you get what you need. The highest chances you can get a legendary armor or an exotic piece of armor or a legendary weapon or an exotic weapon is through the Nightfalls and the raids. The thing about the strikes, the heroic and the Nightfall strikes included, is that A, there's no matchmaking. There's going to be matchmaking for the heroics now, but not for Nightfall. B, it can take you anywhere up to 30 minutes to beat, or an hour or so, really. It's kind of messed up. And C, even if you do manage to finish it, chances are you're not going to get the weapons or armor that you're going to need for your character. I mean, it's RNG. I mean, that's going to happen. You're going to have to grind your butt off to try and progress through the game, to try and get a level that you're comfortable with. I know the level cap is like 32 right now, but me personally, I shot for like 30 at least, so that I can do the Nightfall consistently, and I can get like, weapons or armor that I can finally get. But yeah, again, that's like the RNG of the game. But that's really not the worst of it, though. I mean, sure, yeah, going through the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again, that's going to drive some people insane. But again, you could just take a break from that. The story's bad, yes. I mean, the story is incredibly awful because there's no story in it. And the way they do the story is pretty much breaking the immersion of the game. But that's not the worst of it, though. The worst part of Destiny, and probably some that most people that most people even overlook, is how inconsistent it really is. Okay. Let me give you an example. A long time ago, right around the weeks that Destiny was released, there used to be an exploit called the Loot Cave. The Loot Cave was basically a thing where enemies would respawn from this hole with a high respawn rate. You basically kill the enemies before they leave the cave. You wait a couple seconds, and then they come out, and you shoot them again. Rinse and repeat. The thing about this is that a universal rule in Destiny is that every enemy they kill has an equal chance of dropping something, no matter what their ranks are. So because of this, you can basically sit in one spot, keep shooting at a hole in the wall with enemies pouring out of it, and you can just do this for like maybe 30 minutes or an hour. And you will eventually get legendary engrams that you can use. The thing is, everybody used the Loot Cave. Everybody just pretty much stood there for an hour, shot things up. They didn't go to raids. They didn't do Crucible. They didn't go through strikes. No story missions, nothing. They just sat for 30 minutes to an hour doing nothing but shooting at enemies coming out from a wall. Bungie found this out, and they pretty much destroyed the loot cave. They shut it down. Not long after that, Bungie pretty much made a patch saying that, legendary engrams are not going to break down into rare weapons, which was a buzzkill for me. And now we cut to the raids. The raids in themselves are incredibly glitchy. One example would be the Templar. What you're supposed to do with the Templar is that you're supposed to grab the shield. One of you guys grab the shield. It's a team of 6, and you defend the shield guy until he's done charging his shield. He fires the shield blast at the Templar, and then everyone just unloads on him. That's pretty much the Templar strategy in a nutshell. The standard Templar strategy. What people actually did was that they kept throwing grenades at the Templar until it fell off. It's real fucking easy, isn't it? I'm sorry. I mean, that's incredibly easy to do, right? But that's just one exploit. The thing about it is that the raids themselves can be buggy. I mean, the oracles that you find in the Vault of Glass that you shoot, even when you kill all of them just in time, they will still mark you, and you will still have to go and cleanse yourself, The thing with Atheon's little gimmick was, before, he would teleport the 3 furthest from him, so that to some random world somewhere. This was basically a bit tactical in a way. You could pick like 3 different people who were good at defending, and you could pick the other 3 who were good at killing the oracles in there. They come back out, and they go and jump Atheon with like Time's Vengeance. Oh wait, that's a bug. It was actually supposed to be random. How about that? Goodness. But do you see what I'm getting at here? Whenever people find an exploit in the game, people are going to juice it. They're going to milk it for what it's worth. Then Bungie's going to come in, they're going to change this exploit, all the while constantly giving you like different updates on how to play your game, how you earn your weapons, how you gain your armor, and how you upgrade certain weapons. Destiny is constantly changing, and there's no foundation to rest it on. I'm going to be betting money that by the time a sequel comes out, this game is going to have more updates than Windows 8. That's just me. And that's like my main reason as to why I hate Destiny, because they kept changing the goalposts. They kept, like, the Dark Below. I mean, Bungie right there doesn't know the meaning of the word expansion. An expansion is supposed to offer you loads of content. What the Dark Below expansion really added was just a raid, a vendor, more strikes to get loot from, more story missions no one's going to pay attention to, more Grimoire cards that are probably going to be glossed over, and more loot to find. That's not an expansion. That's just your standard DLC, really. There was no new world to explore, no new classes to use, nothing. It was just that. And even when they came out with the new raid for Crota's End, oh my god, Crota's End. Ooh, that one was really bad in and of itself. Like, the AI in that game was stupid, and you can easily just cheese through every bit of the raid. I mean, but the worst cheese that I've ever found in Crota's End, and probably in any game, was the Crota LAN exploit. The Crota LAN exploit, okay, well basically first I gotta tell you what you're supposed to do. And what you're supposed to do is that when you meet Crota, there's this special knight. I think he's called the Swordbearer. I'm going to call him the Swordbearer for now. You basically have to get Crota down on one knee, which destroys his shield because he's going to be invulnerable to your sword attacks. He's only going to be weak against the sword. From there, you have to kill the Swordbearer in just the right amount of time, and you got to time this right. And then you just whack him upside the head for a little bit with the sword. This would usually take around 4 to 5 times, so that's pretty good right there, right? What people actually did was ridiculous. um, what happened was when Crota got down on one knee, the fire team leader disconnected. Okay. Now, from what happened there, Crota will be down on his knee for an indefinite amount of time. So, as everyone's getting ready and shooting down the sword bearer, the fire team leader is going to come back in. He's going to grab the sword and he's going to keep whacking away at Crota until he's dead or until he has like that much life left. Holy crap! You can do that, and that's like easy loot right there. Like that's just so good. That's just so easy. It's so easy. It's freaking bad. Like when I think of it, I just can't believe it. You know. And there's also that thing with Zur. Zur, he's the exotic merchant. He's when we first met him, he was just a guy who had like one exotic weapon, 3 exotic pieces of armor, one for each class, and he had a couple of different oddities that you can sell. Now he's a guy you have to go to upgrade your weapons now. And you know how much it takes to upgrade your weapons? An exotic shard, which you can either gain through breaking down an exotic item or buying it with 7 strange coins. To keep this in perspective, you get 9 strange coins from the hardest difficulty, 6 from normal, and then 3 from the easiest. And then you have to pay 7,000 glimmer, which is pretty much another currency in the game. Do you notice how many currencies there are in this game? It's got to be like, what, 8 now? Jeez. But yeah, that's just it. You have to grind even more to upgrade your weapons so that way you can keep up with everything, because Bungie couldn't be arsed to upgrade their own weapons and, you know, fix the light ratings and the attribute ratings. They couldn't be arsed to do that. Like, wow, seriously? But yeah, now we have to go and rely on Zur now. And the best thing about Zur is that he might sell you an exotic weapon you might like, you might not. Might get you some exotic armor you might like, you might not. Now, he can sell you the opportunity to upgrade your favorite weapon that you currently have, or he might not. Do you see what's happening here? This game has eventually been turning itself into a randomized mess. Like, and people don't even want to play it anymore. They don't want to play it the way it's meant to be played. They just find whatever exploit they can use, milk it so that way they can get whatever loot they have, and then Bungie comes in and fixes it, all the while not even fixing their own bugs in the game. I bet you people still get angry when they suddenly get marked for death after they killed all 7 oracles. I bet you people still get angry when they get stuck in the other world that Atheon sends them to because they didn't cross the portal right. You know, there's still crap like that. There's still so many bugs in the game that they have to fix, and they don't concentrate on fixing them. So why do people still play this game? I mean, it's obviously kind of broken, right? Well, most people would agree that it's addicting. So, to me, that just sounds like this game is a glorified shooting gallery. Let's think about this. You go to a mission, you earn a random prize. You go through an activity, you earn a random prize. This is like shooting ducks in an amusement park. You pick up a sci-fi air gun, you aim it at the heads of like innocent little alien ducks. You keep shooting them until you eventually earn a prize that you want. You know? It's the same draw with mobile games. That might as well what Destiny will be right now. I remember one article that quoted this, that said that Destiny is pretty much Farmville, directed by J.J. Abrams. Bungie promised a space opera. Okay? Bungie promised a space epic. Not a mobile game you can play on a console. And it's just really disgusting. But, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much why I stopped playing Destiny. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying you should stop playing Destiny. In fact, I should have said that at the beginning of the video. If you love Destiny and you love playing it, that's fine. I mean, it's got great gameplay. You can have fun with your friends. It looks pretty. It sounds pretty. But overall, Destiny, well, Destiny functions. It functions well. Well, it's not incredibly terrible. It still functions. But it functions in an incredibly terrible way. Bungie said that we're supposed to hold on to this thing for like 10 years. That's like their whole plan. They basically put $5 million into a 10-year franchise. Honestly, I don't see myself doing that. Like, at all. Alright, I think I've spoken too much. I have like 36 minutes on here. So, I'm going to come back later with another video talking about what Destiny should be and the different different additions we can put into the game. I know, again, if you love the game, terrific. More props to you, man. I just don't. I don't like the game, and I wanted to come and explain why I don't. And you can come up here and tell me why you don't either, or you can tell me why it's such a fun game. I mean, I wanted to do this because Destiny it's been increasingly popular. You know, people still talk about it, and people still make articles about it. And I just wanted to put in my 2 cents on what I think Destiny is. You know? So anyway, that was it. This is Dylan, aka Alpha, of the Alpha and Omega YouTube channel. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.